Good morning, everyone. I'm Michael. I'm going to be your host for around about the next 45 minutes. I'm not sure the webinar will take that long this morning. We try to keep it really simple just to try and point you in the right direction. So this morning, we're looking at custom fields, often known as analysis fields as well. You often hear it referred to as that. And specifically, we're going to look at setting them up and using them within the customers and the invoices ledger. So some real good benefits, not just recording additional information, but also giving it the ability to filter your lists, and it adds that bit of flexibility to your reports as well. Right, okay, now just before we get started with the webinar this morning, we'll run through our usual bit of housekeeping. So as usual, if you've attended before, you'll be familiar with this one. Do bear with us for a couple of minutes though. If you're new to webinars, you don't need a microphone for the sessions. If you've got one and you do enable it, you'll find it is muted automatically. You can't unmute yourself. And that just means if you've got any questions, you just need to type them into the questions panel. So obviously we prioritize questions and comments relating to what the subject matter is. Obviously analysis fields today, but we tend to get anything and everything. So we got Matt on hand to support as well today. So he'll be on hand in the background answering your questions. If you have any, you may get a link to one of our help articles, or if it's a bit more complex, you may point in the direction of our support team or possibly even your accountant if he thinks it's something we wouldn't normally support you with. There is an opportunity to download the handout during the session today as well. With the handout, it's just a copy of the slides. On the handout though, there is a link which will take you to our help center. The help center is where you'll always find the details, sort of step-by-step guides and a lot more information on what we do cover in the webinar. So that's where you'll find the detailed information. Now, as normal, the webinar is being recorded, and the link to the recording, just in case you want a bit of a recap or you want to share it with your colleagues, that will be included on the follow-up email, which you receive round about an hour after we finish. On that email, it will also include two links, one link to our registration page. I'm going to tell you a little bit later about some upcoming webinars we've got. But we run them all the time, so do check out that list and get yourself registered. And it will also give you a link to our existing recordings as well. So there's loads of topics there. We've been running webinars for many, many years now. So loads of recordings. Not every single session is published because there's a lot of repeat sessions. So we tend to just find the most recent one or what we think is the best recording. We'll publish that one. So again, it's always the same links that you're provided with. So keep them handy, makes it easy to get at them. Right, okay, let's crack on then. So let's have a look at what we're covering in today's session. So quite a small agenda because it's quite a simple topic. So a little bit of an introduction to custom fields. So what are they? Why would you use them? We'll discuss a little bit about setting them up. And then we'll just run through some demonstrations. So I'll be using the software. You'll see me doing that live. And we'll be running through the key processes, and hopefully you pick up some tips along the way if you want to start using analysis fields. If you've already started using them, I'm hoping the tip's not going to upset you and you think, oh, I could have saved a bag full of time by doing it that way. So you never know, you might start using it in other areas or need to make changes. Just at the end, we'll explain more about the additional supports. We'll give you an idea of some of those upcoming webinars. A little video I'll play for you about our management reports digital badge series that we've got coming up towards the end of this month. And then if there are any outstanding questions, we'll pick those up as well. So do bear with us, just me, myself and Matt today. Not many of you on, so hopefully there'll be a good opportunity to get your questions answered if you have any. So do keep them coming, keep Matt busy. Right, okay, so let's start with a little bit of background to custom fields. So custom fields. The idea of them is that you can add extra levels of analysis, so recording extra information within your various records and against your various documents. And it just allows for that extra level of analysis and to a certain extent customization of your software as well. Now, different areas will have different numbers of custom fields. But the titles next to the fields, which you can see on the screenshot, this is an example of a customer record. The top of the customer record on the defaults tab, you've got the custom fields area. Now, by default, they would be called analysis 1, 2, and 3. And if you're on an up-to-date version, so I think from version 29 onwards, you also get 4, 5, and 6. And that's partly why people refer to them as analysis fields, because traditionally that's what they've been called. But you can rename them to help you store specific information. Now, it is just a bit of text that goes in front of that box. We'll show you how to do that in a moment. And it means that if it's not just yourself, it means that you've got that bit of consistency. People know what goes in what box. You're not coming into a customer record and thinking, "Oh, right, for the customer type, which of the analysis fields where do I record that?" So you've changed the title, so it's there and acts as a bit of a reminder, and you've then got that bit of consistency. Now, it does allow you to apply filters as well. One of the most common calls on the reporting side that our support team receive, and always have to my knowledge as well, and when I used to support report design back in the day, you get loads of calls where people would say, right, I need this report, but I need a new one. I need a new design because I only want it to pick up certain information. So this is where custom fields adds that flexibility. You record the information, so such as customer type in the customers, for instance, and it means that you can then apply a filter, so only displaying the specific records that you want, and then run your report, and it'll be based on the records that have been displayed. So it enables you to put that filter up front on your various records. Now, availability wise, you can set up filters not filters. You can apply custom fields in customers and supplier records. You've got it available within products and services. Now, for products and services, that's not available on the essentials level of the software. And then you've got invoices, quotations, and orders, which is one of the newer areas where analysis fields or custom fields have been added to. And then also, if anyone uses the projects option within the Charlotte, you're asking about a demo at the moment. I'm not actually running through a demo just yet. I've got a slide shared. We'll come on to the demo in a few minutes' time, but you should be able to see the slide at the moment. Don't worry, we will be coming on to a live screen share in just a moment. Let me just try reshare the screen. Showing is shared at my end, but it looks fine. And then, sorry, that final area was to do with projects. So if anyone is on the professional level of the software and uses the projects, then you will have that option in the project records as well. Right, now as far as renaming the fields, there's a number of different areas. They're all found within settings, configuration, and you'll be able to change the titles. So this is where you can set the little bit of text that appears in front of the field. So when you determine what you want to use it for. So you've got three key areas within the configuration area. You've got custom fields, the products tab, but also the projects tab. So where do the information appear? Well, within customer and suppliers, which we'll see in the demonstration in a moment. It's in the defaults tab. Within product records, it's on the web tab. Within invoices, quotations, and orders, you'll have an order tab, so those tabs that appear down the side. And for projects, it's on the analysis tab. Now, I have included a link there at the bottom of the slide, so if you do download that handout, that link will work for you. And it will take you to a Help Center article on adding custom fields to your record. So pretty much everything we're going to be covering in this session this morning. So let's get stuck in. I'll start sharing my screen now, and we'll run through a bit of a demonstration. Okay, so you should see my screen at that point. I'm going to be using version 31 of Sage 50 Accounts today. It is the professional level, but the key areas that we're going to be touching on today, so customers and also the invoices option, it's going to be pretty much the same for all levels and all variants of the software. Right, so let's start with the basics of setting them up. So if I pop into settings and then configuration, and it just prompts me to close any other windows open in the background, so just yes to that one. Now you might have tabs like this along the top. It might just be one line. That will depend on the level of software you're running and also your resolution as well. So what I'm looking for at the top here is custom fields. So this is a bit like the screenshot you saw on the slides just a moment ago. So within the customer records, you've got up to 6 analysis fields. So it was prior to version 28 and below. If anyone's still using one of the older versions, you would have had 3 analysis fields. And from version 29, so if you're on 29 or higher, you will have the 6 fields. So this is just a bit of text. So we've got one called customer type. We've got a responsible rep, so it's like sales rep, I suppose. And then we've got one called, for analysis 3, called region. So have a bit think about, what would you like to use it for? Do you have a use for it? Can you think of anything? When it comes to reporting, is there anything that maybe you struggle to get at? So for instance, I've got analysis 3 called region, or analysis 1 is customer type. So my customers might be split between, I might categorize them as like a trade customer, a retail customer, maybe a cash customer, whatever you want to sort of start analyzing by. And what that means is I can then apply filters, etc. once I've flagged the customers appropriately. And then, so it'll only display, like, say, for instance, my trade customers. And then I can run a report based around those. So it adds a lot more flexibility to your reports by using analysis fields, rather than you thinking, right, which are my trade customers? And you go down your customer list trying to highlight them all, and then you run your report. Much easier to apply a filter to say, right, only display my trade customers, and then run your report. It's a lot quicker, particularly if you've got hundreds, if not thousands, of customers on there. So this is where you would change those titles. So you've got the ones for the customer record. So you should find, I think it's by default, it's 10 characters, the title, and that goes for each of the fields that you've got available. So you've got the title for your customer records, the ones within the supplier records. You've got purchase orders in here, quotations, sales orders, invoices. You've got them in here as well. Now for quotations, sales orders, invoices, you've only got 3 analysis fields. Same for purchase orders. Obviously, customers and suppliers, you've got the 6. If you pop into products, you've got your product custom fields here at the bottom. So by default, these are just called category A, category B, category C. But again, you can change the title, whatever you want to use it for. And also, if anyone is on the professional level, you've got the project costing. So you've got the custom fields area here. So again, you've got up to 3 fields, the titles up to 10 characters. If you make any changes, just click OK. It'll apply that to your software. Right, now once they are set up, let's pop into customers, and we'll pop into a customer record. And as I mentioned, it's on the defaults tab. So this is a bit like the screenshot you saw a little bit earlier. You've got customer type. So that's my analysis, what was originally analysis 1, then analysis 2, analysis 3. But as I say, you've got up to 6 of these. So you can see I've got a customer type, and I've just called it trade. Now, one thing that people do request, which it doesn't do yet, is it doesn't give you a drop-down list of things to select, great if it did. Just add that nice little enhancement to this area if it did that. It doesn't do that at the moment. So it is just text. Now the text is up to 30 characters in an analysis field. So whatever you want to put in there. But try and be consistent as well. So I've tried to keep my customer types quite short. So for some, I think I've got trade. Some I've probably got them flagged as public. And I think I've got another one called cash. So it doesn't give me that choice. So if I just wipe that out, for instance, it does. It's giving me that. It doesn't give you the initial drop down, but you can't preset it. So if I just on the drop down there, just select it. Obviously, I could just start typing as well, so it'll pick that up next time. And again, you've just got that bit of consistency. Now you can't limit what people could put here as well. So if your colleagues are working on it and they're maybe a bit like myself, they're prone to the odd typo here and there, it wouldn't stop them doing that. So if I just put a W on the end, for instance, and tab out, it doesn't validate that field. It's not going to validate that text and say, right, this isn't on the list. So you can't restrict it in that way. So I'm just going to change it back. And then obviously once you're done, it would just be a case of clicking save, and that's it. Now you can do them one at a time, but this is what I mentioned. If you're already using it, hope I'm not going to upset you with this one, but you can use batch changes. Now batch changes, it's not available on the essentials level batch changes, but on standard and professional, you do have the batch changes option, and the custom fields is one of those that you can do. So if I just select, I'll just select these 3 records at the top here. And if we go into batch changes, now batch changes, you might have a separate icon for that one on your toolbar. Again, it just depends on your resolution. But for mine, quite a low resolution to make things just that little bit bigger. Charlotte, you just asked there, can you use numbers instead of letters? Yeah, it's a text field. So you can put whatever you want in that field. But again, try and keep it simple, because when you come to filters a little bit later on, if you use a great big like the longer the text or the more complex the numbers that you key in, the more likely it is that it's going to be inconsistent. And you're going to think, oh yeah, what do I put in that field again? Or you might be prone to the odd typo or the format that you type it in. So yeah, you can do that. So you mentioned could you put 1 instead of trade? Absolutely. But again, I suppose it's going to depend on how many you have, and does that have meaning to you? Just putting, say, a number 1 in that first field. But it's up to you, however you want to use it. It is just text at the end of the day. Anyway, with these 3 that I've selected, now you could do the whole lot. You might have, let's say, 50% of my customers are trade and 50 are retail or public, whatever you want to call them. It would just be a case of you selecting initially the relevant ones rather than go through them one at a time. And then all I would do is I would go into batch changes, onto the defaults tab. And when you use batch changes, the idea is you make changes to multiple records simultaneously. So in this case, it shows me, you'll see some of the fields when I click through the various tabs, some of them are grayed out, so they're not active, meaning you can't change those. Others you can. So the ones in the standard sort of black sort of font, you can change those. So custom fields being one of them. So if I just type trade in there, and what I'll do is I'll save that. So it gives you the standard sort of prompt with batch changes saying you've chosen to make changes to multiple records. Do you want to save those changes? And all I do is I click yes, and it applies that change to each of the records that it's had selected. Wendy, you were just asking why can't you see other people's questions? So far, I've just read them out. So we haven't typed any answers in there. So you'll not always see everyone's questions. One of the comments we often get with regard to questions is that it can be very distracting. Some sessions when we have hundreds of people on them, if we were to display all the questions, you probably wouldn't be able to concentrate. So we tend to you'll only tend to see it when maybe it's busy and we think, right, well, there's a question that's relevant to everyone when we put the answer in. But we haven't had anywhere we've had to type an answer so far. So I've just read them out. So that's why you're not seeing any so far. Right, so those three, they've now been updated. Now, how do I know they've been updated? Well, I could go into each of the records in turn, but what I can also do is I can display that column on my customers list. So if you've not come across this before, good little tip. Any of your column headings, if you right click, it will give you a list of the potential columns that you can display. And for the analysis fields, what I'll need to do, I just need to scroll right down to the bottom. Now this will actually reflect the titles that you've put in there as well. So customer type, responsible rep, region, and obviously I haven't renamed analysis 4, 5, and 6 yet, so they're still called that. But if I switch on the customer type column, and then you can see at the end there, I've got, it displays whatever's in that field for that specific customer record. So any columns you don't want to see, right? Let's say we want to hide the email column. So I'll find it on the list. So right click any of your column headings. It'll display the ones that you can show or hide. So email 1, I don't want to see that on my list. I'll just take the tick out, hide it. So what you can't do is you can't rearrange those columns, but you can show or hide them. They'll be in whatever order that they are listed on here. So there might be other information you do want to display. So there's quite a few columns that you can display. So you might want to see that doing a bit of analysis when our customers last bought something for us. So you could display the last invoice date. You could maybe sort by that column as well, ascending or descending, and then think, right, well, these customers haven't bought something for us for a while, right? Do we contact them? And let's just switch that one back off. So I'll get rid of that last invoice. So I've got the customer type displayed. So you'll see there's some down here as well if I just make another selection. So these are all flagged as trade at the moment. I'll change them to retail. So again, I'll use batch changes. Again, I could do them one at a time if I wanted to, but just to save me a bit of time, I'll go into batch changes. I'll go into the defaults tab and I'll just say retail and then save it. Yes to the prompt, and you'll see they've now been updated. So again, apologies if you've already set yours up, you've already keyed some in. Display that column. You might have different variations of the same thing. If you've got a little bit of OCD and you think, oh, I like them all to have a capital T or a lowercase t on trade, for instance, then you can easily correct that using batch changes. So just select the ones that you want to change into batch changes and make a change and then click save. Right, now on the subject of selecting, I'll quickly pick that up as well, because just in case anyone's about to ask that. Some people find difficult to select multiple records. Now what I did when I just went through selecting, I clicked a record, I click the next one, it just highlights it. If you're finding that the highlight follows you around, it's to do with what you term your list selection style. Now I'll show you this one in the software because you can change it if you want to. So into tools, into options, and on the environment tab, you've got the choice, either the window selection style or, and I'm a bit biased to this one because I've used it so long, what you term the Sage selection style. So it's to do with the way that you highlight records. So the Sage selection style is a click on it to highlight it, click on it again to remove the highlight. So like an on-off switch per record. The window selection style, I'll just show you that one and how it works, a little bit different. So if I go into customers, I highlight that top record, and I'll just come down and I'll highlight this Graham Electronics. Now, when I click that one, you'll see that the highlight just follows me around. So if I try and select multiple records, you can see it just follows me around. If you're set up for that and you're thinking, oh yeah, that's how mine works, then a couple of good keys for you to use on your keyboard. If you want to select a range of records, you would click onto the first one, hold down your Shift key, and then if we click on to the sort of the record at the end of the range, it would do everything in between as well. Now, if you're then going to select another record, do be careful, because if I just click on Morley Solicitors without any key pressed down, you'll see it gets rid of the original selection. So if you want to select multiple records that aren't consecutive, just hold down your Control key. And then as I'm holding down the Control key and I'm clicking, it lets me select multiple random records then as well. So similarly, if I just click clear to remove the highlights, and I'll do that range again. So I'll do business exhibitions down to this Malcolm Hall. So remember, I click and hold down the Shift key when I click on the bottom or the end of the range. Then let's say I didn't want this Johnson design in the middle. I just hold down the Control key at that point, click on it, it'll remove the highlight. So do be careful when you're making that selection. But again, I'm pretty biased on the style I like because I've used it that long. So the setting, just in case you want to go down that route of having a bit change, just find it in Tools, Options, and then on the Environment tab, it's this option here. You can toggle between the two. It is user specific, that setting as well. Oh, sorry, I should say machine specific. So anyone that uses Sage from your PC, it will then pick up that selection style, but it doesn't impact other users working from their PCs. Anyway, well, we've got that one back to the Sage selection style. So if I go back to customers, I could just now randomly click and it'll highlight them. So make your selection. If you're on standard level or the professional level, you've got the batch changes option, meaning it's easy to make those changes. So hopefully you've picked up some tips along the way. It's not a case that, that you're going to need to sit there and think, oh, I've got 200 records that I want to flag as trade. I've got to go into each one in turn, type it in, click save, onto the next one. That's quite a time-consuming job. Make your selection, batch changes, off you go. Right, any additional questions just at this stage? So we looked at customers. Obviously, you've got the same option in suppliers. If I go into a supplier record, onto defaults, again, you've got the fields at the top here. I'm assuming I must have knocked the title out at some point for this one. So again, if I needed to, I could just go settings, configuration, into the custom fields and put that title back in, whatever I want to use it for. So that's suppliers. If we pop into products and services, just pop into a record. So remember, you don't have this if you're on the essentials level of the software. It's on the web tab and your custom fields are down here. Now, custom fields, I always think custom fields in relation to products and services are very similar to the product categories. But is there any other information that you want to record against those? You can use them for whatever you want. It might just be random information that you want to record against a specific record, but you may have a use where you can then filter based on that. Right, let's have a quick look at the other areas. So obviously projects was another one. Go into a project record, just on the analysis tab, you've got the analysis types. And then also if we go to invoices or quotations or one of the order options, if you go into one of your invoices in this case, just on the order tab, you've got the analysis fields at the bottom. So can you think of anything that you would use or want to record against an invoice? This is one of the when I sort of demonstrate this and you discuss it, you think, oh, well, what would you use it for? Some people use it for marketing information. So are there certain questions that you ask maybe new customers? So if it's a new customer, right, can I just ask, where did you hear about us? So, you know, it's whatever you want to, it just gives you some additional fields to record additional information against. Is there certain conditions of the sale that you want to record in there? So again, you would have up to 30 characters to be able to record against that. Right, now, once you've got them set up, so let's just pop back to customers for a moment. So once you've got them set up, so let's say I wanted to run a report and I want to identify my retail customers only, and I'm going to send them, maybe I'm going to send them a statement, something along those lines. My trade customers, I might send them a separate statement. I might use a separate layout for that one. So let's just try and identify and get a list. Let's say our trade customers. We'll concentrate on those. So I only want those to be displayed. I want to run a report, give me a list of invoices based on my trade customers, or give me a list of my records who are flagged as a trade customer. So we just pop into filter and we'll do where. Let's just clear that to start with. So when you first go in, it'll just say new. So we choose where. Field. Now you can choose whatever you want. There's loads of fields within the customer's record, whether it's the aging periods, the account reference, account status, account type customer, balance, you name it. It's just any of those fields really within the customer records you can just about choose. Now it should be reflected, the title of the field that I want to look for. So cost type should be on the list rather than it just being called analysis 1, 2, and 3. So there it is. So customer type, and I'm going to say is equal to, and I'm going to say trade. So I then click apply. And well, when I click apply, you'll see that the ones flagged as public and retail, they should disappear. So what I'm after is only those customer records where the customer type contains the text trade. I do that, clicked apply, click close, that's them there. And then I could run maybe the report I'm after or whatever it is I want to do at that point. I might think, right, all my trade customers, I'm now going to set the credit limits to whatever the amount is that you want to set. Or maybe they're the ones I want to review. So it's up to you what you want to do with that. Now you could go the other way and you say, right, give me a list of all customer types that are on trade. So you can go back to filter and I could choose is not equal to trade. Now I've got anything else. Now let me just check if this one here, county golf supplies, what I'll do is I'll just quickly knock that one out so it's got nothing in that field. And then I'll save it. And so yeah, you've got it displayed there. You could do, so if you're looking for, right, which records don't have a customer type yet, again, you could click onto filter and you could say where customer type is equal to, and then just leave it blank. Click apply. And these are the ones where I've got nothing recorded in that field against them. So you can do that for other fields as well. If you're going to start emailing documents, for instance, customer statements, right? I could do a filter on the email field where it's blank. Right, these are the customers I need to get email addresses for. So loads of opportunities, and understanding filters as well. it can really help your reporting within Sage 50. Now you would have a similar option in invoices and credits. You've got that filter at the top. So whatever you've used it for. So again, if I just go into order, and then let's say the analysis field of where did you hear about us? I'll just put SM for social media. Save it. And then if I went into filter, and I could say, right, where analysis field 1, then now they're called, in this case, they are called analysis field 1, 2, and 3 because I haven't renamed them yet. If I had renamed them, I'd be looking on the list for whatever that title is. So I'll do is equal to SM, click apply, click close, and it finds the one in question. Obviously, a lot more if you've used it over a period of time. But that's the benefits of it. Have a bit think about that. Is there any reporting that you struggle to get at? So if you've got certain customers attached to, do you have account managers? So when we looked at customers originally, let's just knock that filter off. So if we went into a record and looked at defaults, we've got one called resp rep, which I assume is responsible rep. Could be salesperson, or whatever you want to call it. Well, it won't be salesperson because you've only got 10 characters, remember. But you know, if you wanted to call it agent or whatever, and then it would just be a case of putting in the appropriate text for each one. And that means that's right. Well, I'm having a look at for all of Michael's customers. Again, I could display that extra column if I wanted to. So I'll just right-click the column headings. I'll display it. I can see that Michael's allocated against a few of these records. So again, maybe I want a list of my customers. Maybe if I work in credit control, there's a certain group of customers that I'm responsible for. So I could go into filter and find the relevant one, find the relevant field. There it is. Oh, just gone past it. And I'll say is equal to Michael. Can't even type my name today. So right, anyway, I think that's my name spelt right. So we'll have another try. So where the responsible rep is equal to Michael in this case. If I click apply, and you can see in this case, if I close out of that filters list, these are all of the customers that are allocated to me. Now let's say Michael leaves and we want to assign all these customers to our new agent, which is, just for the sake of argument, we'll say it's Matt. So again, how can I do that? I don't have to go through them one at a time. I'll highlight them all. So I'll use the swap option and we'll go into batch changes, into defaults, and for that one, we'll type in Matt. We'll click save. Yes to the prompt. It's now got that on there, so all those customers have now been assigned to Matt. And I could report on that as well if needed. Right, so hopefully that's given you some food for thought with custom fields today. And a little for filters as well. So hopefully, if it's whet your appetite a little bit for learning more about filters, there's some great recordings on our webinar recordings page to do with filters. It's quite a powerful tool, and as I say, it prevents a lot of those, or not prevents, but it answers a lot of, or gives a lot of solutions to when people say, right, this is the report I want, but I only want it to pick up certain records, whether it's certain products, certain invoices, certain customers, certain suppliers. You apply the filter up front, so you've only got the records that you want the report based on, and then you run the report. Nice and easy. Right, now if you have any additional questions, pop them in there. We've got 2 that are outstanding. I'll come back to those in just a moment. So if you weren't quite with us at the beginning of the session, to send us your questions, you just need to click that little speech bubble icon, give it a click, it'll expand. You've got access to the box in the bottom right hand corner. Then pop in your question or your comment. Remember to click send. We're quite good, but we need to be able to see whatever your questions are. So remember to click send, and then we'll try and get an answer to you. Just while we're waiting for those final questions to come through and before we pick them up, I just want to bring your attention to our Management Reports 2025 digital badge. It will be available, so you'll be able to get that by during April. Sessions start on the 31st of this month. So we're running it we've got 31st of March, and then the rest of the sessions are in April, so those first 2 weeks. If you want to register for these, all you need to do is head along to sage.co.uk/webinars. Got a little video, so you'll see a little bit of myself and Matt, and Jackie for that matter, telling you a little bit about it. I'll just set that playing, and then we'll come back to you in just a couple of minutes.
Exciting news, our next badge is available to book now. From April the 1st to the 11th, dive into our Management Reports badge and master everything you need to know about understanding management reports. We look at the foundations of your reports by looking at the nominal records, how to set these up and how they form the basis of your reporting, before delving into the chart of accounts and configuring that to your needs.
Moving on to the trial balance, balance sheet and profit and loss reports. How to run these for your current financial year and how to run these into the future and for prior years. We'll also show you how to reconcile your aged debtors and creditor reports and how to account for any differences before showing you your business dashboards, the perfect feature for monitoring your key business data at a glance.
Attend 5 out of the 6 sessions and complete our quiz to earn your badge. Your achievement will be added to the Accredible portal, where you can share your badge with clients, colleagues and suppliers, showcasing your journey to becoming a Sage expert. Don't delay, get yourself registered now at sage.co.uk/webinars and take the next step in your professional development.
So, something exciting ahead. Management reports, one of my favorite topics. We've been running webinars on management reports since about day one. So many years we've been covering them for. So digital badge now available. Get yourself signed up. As Jackie mentioned at the end, there are 6 different topics. We repeat them as well. So there's two dates and times for each of the sessions. So you need to attend 5 out of the 6 topics plus 1 of the quiz sessions. Get yourself signed up. Links also included on your follow-up email. Right, questions. Let's see what we've got. So a quick question for Margaret. I think Matt's picked that up. So Margaret was just asking, is there really 30 characters for each analysis field? So let me just share my screen. Quickly show you what I mean by that. Am I in the right screen? So if you pop into an invoice, so the analysis field, so custom fields in this case it's called. Again, we haven't changed the title, but it's where I put SM before for social media. We just test the field just to see how many characters we can get in there. So yeah, it stops at that point. So I can key in up to 30 characters of text in the sort of the data field. The heading itself is restricted to 10. Apologies if there was any confusion about that one. So when you're keying in the data, it's 30, but the titles themselves that we covered at the start, it's 10 for that one. Now, if you do think of any other questions, obviously, if you leave the webinar and you think, oh, I should have asked this, then do get in touch. Our support team's on hand. Have a go of it as well. Remember to knock your filter off. I'll just quickly mention this one because there's bound to be someone applies a filter and then thinks, oh, where's all my records gone? Now, if you apply a filter, it's unique to your lists as well. It's username specific. So I'm sure I'll get a question on that at some point. So if you apply a filter to your list. So let's say in this case, I've only got one invoice out of the however many I've got. Looks like I've got 85. So if I apply that filter, then it doesn't affect anyone else. Now, what it would mean if possibly one of my colleagues keys something in on their PC, maybe I don't see it because I've got a filter applied. If you want to knock your filter off, you can do one of two things. You've got your little on-off toggle, which you can just click it and it switches it off. It'll leave it in the background, so you could always apply it again. Or you can go into filter, clear the form, it just resets it, click apply, click close, and again, that's it done as well. Right, okay, let's see what we've got question-wise then. So, Cheryl, you mentioned there you don't have the analysis fields in an option when you right-click on the columns under customers. So what we were showing you that one, it's the column headings. If you right-click, now you might have a list like mine. So if you've got quite a low resolution on your monitor or quite small monitor, you may find this as well. Maybe you can't see them. So what you do is if you just point to the bottom, so bottom of the list, you'll get this arrow. And if you scroll down, it should be the last fields that you've got available. So in my case, they're no longer called analysis 1, 2, 3. It's picked up the titles. And then obviously we've got 4, 5, 6 as well, which I haven't renamed yet. So that's where they are. So on the column, so what we term the configurable columns, it will list them in the order that they would be displayed. Whereas in the filters, when we looked at that, it puts those in sort of alphabetical order, options-wise. So hopefully that's all you should need to do there, Cheryl. You'll be able to find that then. Bottom option, if you do ever want to reset your columns, you just, very bottom, you've got that option. Again, you might need to scroll down, but the very last option is use defaults. And as you can see, it just resets that listing for me. You found them, excellent. Similar option, Jennifer, you're asking there are 6 email addresses. Is there a way of renaming these? So by that, if we pop into customers and just go into a customer record, these here, which says email 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again, if you go into settings, configuration, and you'll have an option at the top that says email. And again, you can rename them in exactly the same way. So whether that's a job title or you think, well, actually in email 2, we're going to record the email address that we send statements to, just so we know. Invoices go to email 1, statements to email 2. You might have, I don't know, like an accounts department for your customer supplier. So again, if you rename them in that way, click OK. If I go back to customers, and you'll see it pulls it through. So again, you've got that flexibility. You may find that when you're emailing documents, you may need to tweak the settings so it picks up the right email address, but otherwise that's how you would do that. Hope that makes sense. Right, okay, we just about covered everything we needed to today. So we're going to end the webinar just at that point. So let me quickly thank you for coming along. I hope you've enjoyed it, found it useful. Have a go of it. Have a bit think about those custom fields. What do you struggle reporting wise with? Could it make your reporting just that little bit easier if you maybe apply filters? So apply a filter, right? In that case, to make it easier to select certain records, right? We could use the custom fields. And remember, if you're on standard or professional, use that batch changes to get that information entered. It'll save you so much time. Right, little survey pops up as we leave. If you can take a minute to complete that, it'd be greatly appreciated. We love reading those comments. Let us know what you think. Also, any thoughts, ideas that you want to share with us about how we could improve webinars or topics you'd like to see, pop them on there as well. Your follow-up email, so that'll include the link to today's recording, It will include a link to our registration page, including the list of sessions for the Management Reports digital badge. Do get yourself registered. And also a link to our recordings list as well. So if you've missed any sessions, that's how you can play catch up. Right, we'll end the webinar at that point. Many thanks for coming along. Thanks for Matt for helping out with the questions today as well. I think you've kept him quite busy, I can see in the background. So many thanks, and hopefully I'll see you again soon.